welcome. Today I want to do something special. I always say that because it's always special. But today I want to discuss this book, Denny Haney, Collected Wisdom by Scott Alexander. This is not an inexpensive book, and I waited and waited and waited, and a gentleman who was referenced in here, Peter, told me, you know, you got to part with the money, Dave. You're just being cheap. You're just being cheap. And he's right. He was right. I mean, I have paid similar prices for other books in the past. I held off because I knew Denny so well. I knew him so well. I knew his work. I knew the effects that he did. I knew his history. I knew his biography. I also have a number of his published works, including his lecture notes. And so I thought I had a good depth of knowledge when it came to Denny Haney. Well, it turns out I really don't. I really didn't. And when I purchased the book, I have to tell you, you know, I miss Denny every day. You know, I used to pick up the phone and get his opinion, or I'd go down to the shop and get his opinion. And then he was my dealer. You know, he was my dealer. I didn't even think of dealing magic myself until long after Denny crossed over. Didn't even think about it. I mean, he was the person I obtained my magic from, period. I trusted his advice. I trusted his wisdom. It always proved to be sound. So if he told me not to do something, I didn't do it. If he told me to get something, even if I had no idea why, I got it. That's just the way he was. But I would like to present a review of this, hopefully encourage you to take a look at it. I'm going to read a quote here. By the way, the book is available on scottalexander.com. I'm going to put the link down below so you can go check it out if you want to. Ben Robinson, reviewing the book for Vanish Magazine, said, the book has Denny's voice. That is so, if you know the man, if you know Denny Haney, opening this book is an experience. It's an experience. It takes you back to Denny. When I purchase a book, the first thing I do is I open it up and I begin to flip through, and I just sort of take in the images, the photographs. I might read a paragraph or two, but I just sort of flip through, and as I did that, Denny just came alive to me again. He was here. He's in these pages. Somehow, and I don't understand the magic behind it, but somehow Scott Alexander has captured Denny in this book. He's alive in this book, I'm telling you. I was going through the book. I was beginning to read it. A chapter here, a chapter there, a paragraph here, a paragraph there. I was looking at the images, and I was overcome, you know, because I had great affection for this man, as a lot of us did. This gentleman influenced generations of magicians. And as I read through it, I became emotional. I really did. And at that moment, I realized I should have purchased this book long ago. Long ago. So I was just absolutely delighted at what I found in here. You're going to get in the first half of the book, you're going to get a thorough biography. In the second half of the book, routines that Denny honed and perfected over the course of his career. And let me tell you about some of them. You're going to get every nuance. You're going to get the pattern. You're going to get the script. You're going to get the rationale behind it. You're going to get his thoughts and his process. For so many, I'm not going to share all of them with you, but the Gene Anderson newspaper tear, the egg bag. If you've ever seen Denny perform the egg bag, you know it is the very best performance you could possibly do with the egg bag. Card manipulations, the multiplying bottles based on the Ken Broke, a routine which I used to perform because Denny told me to. Fantastic routine. The razor blades, swallowing razor blades, bringing them out threaded on a thread. Brilliant. The Bill and Lemon, Cards Across. This is based on Zens from My Best, Thompson, My Best. The Sidewalk Shuffle, Illusions, he gets into the Crystal Casket, the Hindu Basket, the Sword Suspension, the Canvas Cover Box, and the Blade Box. He deals with Billiard Balls, Dancing Cane, Lloyd Candles, the Serpentine Silk, the Blood Trick, the Filthy Deck, which is based on the Fill Deck. Very important principle in card magic. Feel the color, just add them up. The Bullet Catch. So much is in here, and it's an entire chapter devoted to those effects. But that's not the best part of the book. The best part of the book to me was the first part, the biography. I thought I knew Denny's biography. We used to sit together day after day talking about his life history. I thought I knew it. When I read this, it came alive to me. This reminded me very much of the Yogi Magic Mart book that I reviewed earlier, because that book brought back the Yogi Magic Mart to me. It brought Phil Thomas back to me. As long as I have this book, Denny Haney lives. That's what I got to tell you. Denny Haney lives. So it's just absolutely fantastic. And Scott Alexander, if you happen to watch this, you are brilliant. You're just absolutely brilliant. You've done a wonderful job. You've created a magnificent monument. And everybody that loves Denny Haney is indebted to you. Thank you so much for doing it. Let me read you a quote from Chuck Thomas. Be prepared to find yourself transported to various places. Scott's writing is that good, and it really is. The places you will go, the things you will see, the people you will meet. It will be like standing next to Denny. I'm savoring each chapter, limiting myself to only 1 or 2 per day. And I did the same thing. I wanted to savor it. So I just took my time, took a chapter a day, worked my way through it. Fantastic. The way I can extend my last days with Denny. This way, he says. I can extend my last days with Denny. Oh, that is so true. Scott Alexander has outdone himself with this one and far exceeded Denny's expectations. Really, really, he did. He did. From the ad copy that's found on Scott Alexander's website, it says, all of his routines are described and taught in painstaking detail, and the biography portion spans 28 chapters going in depth into the trials and tribulations he encountered throughout his life. From the early days at Phil Thomas Yogi Magic Mart in Baltimore to the trenches of Vietnam, every detail is revealed, and it truly is. Denny, if you don't know the basics, Denny was born December 26, 1945. I will tell you that as long as Denny had the shop, from the day he opened the shop to the day he closed the shop, I was there on December 26 to celebrate his birthday, at least for a short period of time. It was one of my favorite ways to spend the day after Christmas. He's a graduate of the Chavez School of Magic, served 3 tours of duty in Vietnam voluntarily. The story is told in here how they tried to reject him. They tried not to let him go, but he would not take no for an answer. He served 3 tours of duty in Vietnam. He returned to entertain the troops after being discharged. He toured the world with an illusion show. He was one of the highest paid magic acts in the country. If you didn't know that, it's the truth. He was one of the highest paid acts in the country. In 1990, Denny retired from the road and opened the Denny Lee Magic Studio in Baltimore, actually in the Essex area. He passed away January 23rd, 2019 at the young age of 73. His resting place is Lakeside Cemetery in Colon, Michigan. And there was a ceremony out there during the Abbott Magic Get-Together, which is very close to the Abbott Magic Get-Together. Now, I want to give you a flavor for some of the things that are in here. So I just want to read maybe a paragraph or two, maybe a sentence or two, just to give you an idea. Now, the story is told, this is page 166. The story is told of Denny, and Denny always, he was an advocate of books. And so was Phil Thomas before him. Buy books, my boy, Phil Thomas used to say. That was ingrained in me as a child. It was ingrained in Denny as a child. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. You're going to spend at least as much as you'd spend on a book to get a single effect from a book. I have seen dealers mimeograph or photocopy pages out of a book, wrap them around a prop, and sell them for more than the price of the book. I mean, come on. Seriously. So Denny tried to convince people to buy books. And one of the things that he did was he sold a trick from Harry Lorraine's close-up card magic. And so when someone would he would demonstrate it, when someone tried to purchase it, he would say, well, it's in the book. But people didn't want the book. And here's a quote. That's when Denny realized that he may have made a mistake in trying to help people. You know, you never make the mistake when you try to help people, but here's the point. Evidently, they didn't want his help. They wanted secrets, easy to master, secrets falling down like manna from heaven, directly into their repertoire with little to no effort on their part. Yeah. That frustrated Denny. It's true when you buy a book, you have to read it. You have to study it. You have to learn it. You have to develop your own presentation. You have to then seek to fit it into your repertoire. It's true that there's work involved in being a magician. And for whatever reason, I think it's probably true in our culture at large. People want the easy road. And when it comes to the performance arts, there isn't an easy road. There isn't. But the best road is through books, and that's what Denny tried to share. There's another story on page 169 that, to me, is just precious. I love this. I hope Scott doesn't mind that I share it with you, but I love it. There are far too many stories from Denny's first shop to talk about, but one simply has to be set down, as it was one of those Mellini-esque moments that happens once in a lifetime. Denny was behind the counter and those two young ladies walked in asking just what this magic shop is all about. Denny explained that they teach magic like floating ladies and rabbits from hats. They promptly demanded Denny do something, do a trick for me. They said, "Can you make a rabbit come out of your hat?" Pointing to a Nielsen top hat on the shelf behind Denny, he told them that the rabbit was sleeping. They then asked if he could make a different animal appear. Then he asked, well, what kind of animal? One said, I don't know, a pig. This was a gift from the gods. Denny got a wide smile on his face, began to make a few wizardly hand motions, and shouted, abracadabra. Then he flung his arms toward the couch. The two ladies turned around to see a 200-pound Vietnamese pot-bellied pig staring at them. Baby, who was sleeping up until Denny shouted, grunted on cue. They screamed, threw up their arms, and dashed out the door as fast as their feet could carry them, never to return. That is a classic story from the original magic shop, the Denny Lee Magic Studio. Thank you so much, Scott, for sharing that. I had no idea that had happened. I never heard that story before, so I thought it was fantastic. One other thing I want to share with you, and Scott, I promise this is the last paragraph I'll share, but I think these things, these little tidbits, are giving people a sense for who Denny was and Denny's character and his personality, and that's why I love this so much. But here on page 188, if you were ever in the shop, you probably saw Denny do this. I saw Denny do it hundreds of times. That's why I wanted to share it with you. He would talk to you for hours on end if you were at the shop in person, but call him and usurp time on the phone. He quickly got frustrated. I watched him on countless occasions getting violently agitated while talking to certain customers on the phone. He did not like talking on the phone. People would call him up. You know, I knew that. I knew that about Denny. I wouldn't always go. Sometimes I did call him, but when I called him, I understood. I had seconds. You know, I said, Denny, this is what I'm after. And he was delighted to help me out. But it didn't take long, and I knew I didn't have long. I wasn't going to hold him from the guys that invested the time and made the effort to get over there at the shop. So, anyway. Folks, if you're so inclined, this book, there are different versions of the book out there. I believe I paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 for this book. Is it worth it? You bet. You bet. I wish I had purchased the book long ago. Once again, I want to thank Scott Alexander for such a magnificent effort. When I finally read the book, and it took me a long time, and Peter, I apologize to you for not taking your word on it sooner. When I finally read the book, I was deeply moved, deeply touched, deeply grateful, and you know, value. It's not about money, it's about value, and there's huge amount of value in this book. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe if you've not done so already. Please comment down below. You know how much I love your comments. I will see you next time. Take care.